Hi there, my name is Tasha Norman. I am the executive editor of the Young Professionals Network and Market Development at ALM Media in the Global Newsroom. I'm here at the Georgia Legal Awards. I'm here with a special guest, Chris Glover, who is the Attorney of the Year finalist. Hi, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Great, thank you. So, Chris, what inspired you to be a lawyer, and what helps you maintain your inspiration?
You know, there were times when I was a kid where I needed somebody to stand up for me. I was alone a lot, and I needed someone to keep me from being hurt. And because of that, I kind of grew into a mentality of wanting to stand up for others. I'm kind of always been for the small guy or the underdog, and that led me into the law. I saw the law as a way that I could stand up for others, that I could be a voice for the victim and somebody who had been run over and needed somebody to be their strong man. And I couldn't imagine my clients being alone. The things that they've gone through, the forces they're up against, the clients that I represent have gone through tragedies that are unspeakable many times. And so what we have to do is stand up, and often that's against a large corporation that has unlimited resources, that is well prepared, well represented, and that just gives me that opportunity to just stand up. And so why do I keep doing it? I guess it's because I can see the difference that we make. I can totally tell that what we're doing is making a huge difference, not just in that client's life, but in society. I've seen products changed. I'm a products liability lawyer. I've seen dangerous products taken off the market. I've seen corporations change the way they do business. I've seen the impact that it can have on the lives of my clients too. I've seen how they are able to get the care that they need, to get the justice that they seek, to right a wrong. And so that's something that is important to me. It's something that drives me, not just because I love the law, I do, but it's my faith. My faith drives me and tells me that I should serve others and that I should work hard as if I'm doing it for the Lord. And so I do that every day and give it my best.
With your practice focusing on wrongful death and catastrophic injuries, how do you help ease the minds of your clients financially, emotionally? What do you do?
I've been doing this for 23 years, and after 23 years, I've never get used to that first meeting. The people who come into my office, come to see me, have gone through the worst tragedy they'll ever face. They've lost a child, they've lost a husband, a wife, a mother, a father, they're paralyzed, and what they've gone through is unspeakable. And so what we see is that the first thing they want is answers. Their emotional well-being is not necessarily, I want to blame somebody. They're not always necessarily worried about their money or their future. They want to know, why did I lose my baby? Why did my mom die? And who was at fault for this? And so what we do first is tell them, we will get you answers. We will. It may not mean that there's a case. Oftentimes there's not. But we will get you answers. And so we can do that for people. The next step that we go through is we will try to then move to the point of, well, how can we help you? And you know what I see that people want more than anything else? They want to know that this is not going to happen to anybody else. When a mom loses a baby, she doesn't want another mom to ever face that pain again. It's not necessarily the verdict that we may get at the end of the case or the settlement that we may obtain. What we primarily motivated by is the fact that another mom doesn't want to do this again. I'll tell you, it's hard to go through a lawsuit. It takes courage for a plaintiff to stand up against a large corporation, and standing up against a large corporation takes time and resources and a lot of emotional pain to remember what you went through. Sometimes it's 2 years later and you're having to relive what the loss that you've experienced. And so what do they do it for? They do it so that nobody else has to do it again. There is money. That's the only thing that our justice systems allows. And the money can right wrongs. The money can provide for care that they wouldn't otherwise get. It can provide for surgeries they wouldn't have. And frankly, money can tell a corporation you were wrong, and in a way that they can hear. And so that's what we focus on when we're talking to clients. And I think that those things are things that that help them. But again, I can't get used to those meetings. And if I ever do, I'm stopping doing this because they hurt. Their loss is real, and we're here to help them.
Can you describe a case or a matter that has made you proud this year of being a lawyer?
Yeah, I sure can. I represent Dominic Perez. He's a young man, 8 years old. He was sitting in the back seat of a Honda Civic when a Jeep Wrangler that had been put on the lift kit, lifted higher than it should have been, hit him at 18 miles an hour. Not a speed that should have changed anybody's life, but yet that crash went through the Honda Civic, crushed all the way into the back seat, and paralyzed Mr. Perez. Dominic's now quadriplegic, can't move any of his limbs, and for the first 2 years of his quadriplegia, he was a ventilator-dependent quadriplegic. That means he has to have a machine that breathes for him 24 hours a day, and he can't live without it. Dominic needed help. He needed surgeries, he needed hospital care, he needed to refit his house so that he could get wheelchairs in and out of it, and he didn't have the funds to do it. Dominic's family came to us and they said, "Is there anything you can do to help?" The young man who hit him in that Jeep only had $100,000. That didn't begin to pay the millions of dollars in medical bills that Dominic had, and so we had to find a way to help him. As we dug deep into this case and began to look at what maybe we could do, we found that the lift kit that was on that Jeep was illegal. Georgia says that lift kits can't be higher than 2 inches. This one was 4. And there's a good reason for that, because bumpers are the primary energy absorbing structures on the back of a vehicle. And when you lift that car up, when you lift that Jeep up, then you have bypassed that bumper. And that's why an 18-mile-an-hour crash went right into the back of that back seat, and it hit that young man. But yet it wasn't over. We had to figure out, well, who made the lift kit? There was no identifying markers on it. Serial numbers were hidden so that you couldn't see them. And so we had to go through an arduous process, going through junkyards, finding spare parts. I spent hours on my knees underneath cars trying to find out where that part was made. We finally found who it was. We got involved in litigation, and the first thing they did was deny that they made the part. I'd never seen that before, that they said it's not us. We went through a years-long battle to prove it was their part, and we've won. We were able to settle that case for a good bit of money. And here's what I'm proudest of. The first thing that Dominic did when he got the money from that lawsuit is he was able to find a doctor that we found for him. It didn't really help the case at all, but it helped him. We found Dominic a doctor who could get him off that ventilator. Now he can sleep at night without a machine. He don't have to worry about what happens if the machine breaks or the batteries go dead or the power goes out. You know, he'll never move his arms or legs again, but he can breathe, and that is a huge, huge benefit to his life. And he wouldn't have been able to do that without the money we got him. And so even if that was the only thing that I did, you know, that's a huge improvement in that young man's life.
It is. Wow. What qualities should a lawyer possess to be successful?
You know, a successful lawyer to me is kind of obvious in some ways. In some ways, it's not at all obvious. You know, a successful lawyer, the obvious part of it is they work hard, they're persistent, they're smart and talented and intelligent. They take chances for their clients, and they put themselves out, work hard, long hours. You know, we all know what those qualities are, but you know, here in Atlanta and around Georgia, those are about as commonplace as anything. There are a lot of really good lawyers in here, so I define success a little different. I think it's more than that. You know, I find that we are a little different than the rest of society around us for this reason. Businesses are in doing what they do to make money. That's their primary goal, and thank goodness we have them. I'm glad that they're there and provide jobs and services and goods for us. But that's not what a lawyer does. A lawyer doesn't exist primarily to make money. A lawyer exists primarily to provide a service to do good for society, and that takes a little bit higher motivation to me. For me, that motivation is found in my faith, and so I work hard as if, you know, I was doing it out of a command by my faith. And I do it because I see the example in Christ who gave everything for me. And so I give back in that way. But it's more than that, because I think that life is, you have to be happy and peaceful. And so how does success look for me in my life, and what do I hope it looks like for others? For those with families, I hope they're surrounded by people who love them, and I hope that they have a wife like I do who walks me out to my car every morning and tells me, I hope you have a great day. And she doesn't resent the fact that I spend long hours as a lawyer. A daughter who now wants to become a lawyer, who didn't grow up thinking this profession stole her father from her, but yet found a role model and wants to follow in his footpath. And then I found a son who, I think it's funny, he's my biggest fan. He posts everything I do on social media. And I love the fact that he never resented the fact that I was gone some nights or weekends for work. He looked forward to who I was when I came back. I have friends who not only ask me about the law as advice, but they ask me about being a good father or a good husband. And to me, that's what success is. That's how I found it.
It's wonderful. Chris, how do you see the field of law evolving in the next 5 or 10 years?
Great question. One of the things we've seen for a number of years is that trials are getting harder and harder to come by. It's difficult to get in the courtroom. When I was a young lawyer, I once tried 7 cases in 1 year. I tell my young associates now, I'd be surprised if you try 7 cases in 7 years. And so that's something that we see. And so what's changing? You have to be a good brief writer. You have to be good at writing pleadings. There's so much more of that, and those have become so much more important than they were just 15, 20 years ago. That's a big change for us. Another change is travel. COVID has had a gigantic impact on us. We used to pack up and leave and go to depositions. I spent so many nights in Michigan doing automotive product liability cases where Chrysler, Ford, General Motors was located. I used to fly up there at least weekly, and I was always gone. I took my first deposition actually in Dearborn, Michigan, with a blue oval behind the background of the witness, Ford Motor Company. So, those days are gone in a lot of ways. I can do that same deposition from my desk, and I think that's a good thing. Not just because, the obvious things that travel's not always appealing, but because I can do a lot more. I have capacity to work harder and work on other cases. That same trip would have taken me at least 2, maybe 3 days to do. And so I can work on other cases, or that one case while I'm gone. That's a big change for us. I see marketing has truly changed, especially around social media. That's a big thing now. A lot of lawyers and law firms are going directly to their clients by social media means, and so you have to be willing to put yourself out there in a way that you didn't do. I remember when I was first starting, my senior lawyers were telling me, okay, Chris, if you want to get working on a certain type of case, then you should write a speech on it, and then you should go speak at CLEs and seminars and have other lawyers hear you speak about that topic. And I don't have to do that anymore. I still do, but the real thing is I go straight to the people, or I go straight to the lawyers that I would have been talking to otherwise through social media. And in a lot of ways, that puts me at a disadvantage because I'm really uncomfortable talking about my things, but I know we got to do it, and the things that are necessary. And this is a big one for me is I think that we're moving away from the law as a profession, as a means to help others, and we're moving towards a business model where we're trying to make money primarily, and that scares me, and it worries me. It worries me for the future. And so when I mentor young lawyers, I always tell them, put your clients first, and everything else will work out. If we were only out to make money, we're no different than every other profession, but I think we are different.
Chris, thank you so much. Everything that you said was so insightful, so informative. It was really impressive. Thank you. And I wish you all the best tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.